Welcome, everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive into some, well, truly iconic machines.
We really are. We're looking at European classic cars.
Exactly. Not just cars, but pieces of history, engineering marvels, design icons.
All rolled into one.
And our mission today, really, is to get under the skin of what makes these specific cars so special. Their design, sure, but also performance, maybe some engineering firsts.
And definitely their lasting legacy. Why we still talk about them, you know?
Right. We've got everything from pure racers to movie stars. It's going to be quite the ride through automotive history.
Should be fun.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Where do we begin? There's so many greats.
Well, I think there's one place that feels almost obligatory to start. The Ferrari 250 GTO, built 62 to 64, just a couple of years.
Ah, the GTO. Yes, often called the ultimate collector's car. Not just a collector's car.
And a huge part of that has to be the rarity, right? I mean, how many were there? 36?
Only 36 units ever built, that's it. So yeah, extreme rarity is definitely a massive factor.
But it wasn't just rare, was it? It was built with a very specific job in mind.
Absolutely. This car was designed first and foremost to win races, specifically GT racing. It had to be homologated, meaning it met the FIA rules, which back then required race cars to have a certain number of road-going versions.
Built to race.
Yeah.
And the design, it just screams speed, doesn't it? That hand-shaped aluminum body.
Beautifully sculpted. And purely for aerodynamics, that long bonnet, the aggressive stance, it looks fast standing still.
And under that bonnet, the heart of it all.
The legendary Colombo V12 engine, a 3.0-liter masterpiece, putting out around 300 horsepower.
Which in the early 60s was, well, that was serious grunt.
Oh, absolutely sensational power for the time.
And it showed on the track. What were the performance figures like?
Pretty staggering. Top speed was up around 174 miles per hour, 0 to 60 in roughly 5.4 seconds.
Wow. Imagine experiencing that kind of acceleration back then.
Must have felt like a rocket ship. And its racing record proves it wasn't just numbers. It dominated the World Sports Car Championship for 3 straight years, 62, 63, 64. Big wins at places like Le Mans, too.
So the racing success, the incredible beauty, and that insane rarity.
That's the magic formula. That's why it's often called the holy grail of classic cars.
And why the prices are just astronomical. We're talking over $70 million at auction.
It's almost unbelievable, isn't it? But that's what happens when you combine that level of racing pedigree, beauty, and near unobtainable status. What's fascinating here is how its racing success, combined with extreme scarcity, created an unmatched legacy.
And I read somewhere that even within those 36, they weren't all identical.
That's right. Each one was hand-built, essentially, and there were subtle tweaks to the bodywork during the production run. So each GTO has its own little unique character. Adds to the mystique, I suppose.
Incredible. Okay, so from the absolute peak of exclusivity in racing, let's shift gears, maybe to something that brought stunning design to, well, maybe not everyone, but more people.
Ah, you must be thinking of the Jaguar E-Type.
Exactly, the E-Type. Launched in '61 at the Geneva Motor Show, and the reaction was instantaneous, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a bombshell. Completely stunned everyone. You always hear that famous quote, maybe true, maybe not, attributed to Enzo Ferrari himself.
The most beautiful car ever made.
Right. Whether he actually said it or not, it perfectly captured how people felt. It was just breathtakingly beautiful.
And you can see why. That incredibly long, low bonnet, the covered headlights, those perfect curves. Just pure automotive sculpture. Came as a coupe and a convertible, too.
And it wasn't just a pretty face. It had a long life, 61 to 75, and evolved over time.
Different engines along the way.
Yes. The early Series I cars had that wonderful 3.8-liter straight six, about 265 horsepower. Then came a bigger 4.2-liter six in the Series 2. And later, the Series 3 cars even got a smooth 5.3-liter V12.
Performance was pretty good, too, right? Backed up the looks.
Definitely. Top speed around 150 miles per hour, 0-60 in about 7 seconds. Very respectable, very quick for its day.
But maybe the real story, beyond the beauty, was the technology it offered.
I think so. For the time, it was quite advanced. It had independent rear suspension, which was a big deal for handling and ride comfort.
And disc brakes all around.
4-wheel disc brakes, yes. And monocoque construction, where the body shell provides the structure, not a separate heavy chassis. These were features you'd expect on much more expensive, exotic machines.
Which brings us to the price.
Exactly. That's crucial to the E-Type story. Back in 1961, it cost around 2,200 pounds. Now, that wasn't pocket change, but compared to a Ferrari or an Aston Martin.
It made that level of beauty and performance accessible.
Absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the E-Type showed that high performance and cutting-edge tech could be packaged in breathtaking style at a more accessible price point than some rivals. It democratized the dream car in a way.
It became an icon of British design, loved by celebrities, racers, everyone.
Truly cemented its place in history.
Okay, so we had rarity and racing dominance and accessible beauty and tech.
What about longevity?
Yeah.
An enduring icon. Now you have to be talking about the Porsche 911.
You got it. Introduced way back in 1964, and incredibly, it's still in production today.
Just think about that. The longest-running sports car line in history. That's an incredible achievement.
And the shape is just instantly recognizable, isn't it? Even after all these years and all the changes.
Totally iconic. That rear engine layout, the sloping fastback roofline, the round headlights. It clearly evolved from the earlier Porsche 356, but the 911 established a design DNA that's unmistakable.
And the engine has evolved just as much, maybe more.
Oh, massively. It started with a 2.0-liter flat-six engine, air-cooled, making around 130 horsepower, which was fine for the time.
But today
You've got modern 911s with water-cooled, turbocharged flat-sixes pushing out, well, over 600 horsepower in some versions. It's a different world.
comparing performance then and now must be wild. Early cars, maybe 130 mile per hour to top speed.
Something like that, yes. Perfectly adequate for the 60s. Modern ones. Way, way faster across the board.
And the cultural impact.
Yeah.
It's huge. 911 just means something, doesn't it?
It really does. It stands for precision engineering, pure driving feel, maybe even a kind of practical performance. And its racing history is legendary Le Mans, Monte Carlo Rally, Daytona, you name it. A 911 has probably raced and won there.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. The name. It wasn't always going to be 911.
That's a great bit of trivia. No, it was originally unveiled as the Porsche 901.
So what happened?
Well, Peugeot, the French car maker, objected. They claimed they had the trademark rights in France to car names consisting of 3 numbers with a 0 in the middle.
Seriously.
Apparently so. Rather than fight it, Porsche just changed the 0 to a 1, and the 911 was born.
Just like that. And it became one of the most famous model designations ever.
Incredible twist of fate, isn't it? This raises an important question. How does a design stay relevant and desired for so long while constantly evolving? It seems Porsche mastered blending that core heritage with relentless innovation.
A masterclass, really. Okay, from enduring design to, well, maybe the most famous doors in automotive history, driven by engineering.
Has to be the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Gullwing.
The Gullwing.
Yeah.
1954 to 57. Such a striking car.
And it came straight from racing, right?
Directly. It was derived from Mercedes's W194 racing car, which had been very successful. They essentially adapted the racer for the road, partly at the suggestion of their U.S. importer, Max Hoffman, who saw a market for it.
And it wasn't just looks. It was seriously fast for its time.
It was the fastest production car in the world when it launched. But maybe even more significantly, it pioneered a major piece of engine technology.
Fuel injection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The first production car ever to feature direct fuel injection. Mechanical direct fuel injection, specifically. It sprayed fuel right into the cylinders rather than mixing it in a carburetor beforehand. More power, more efficiency. A huge leap.
Combined with that design.
Yeah.
The long front, the star on the grille, and obviously those
Well,
doors.
it's going doors. Absolutely iconic. And the whole car was built around this incredibly advanced, lightweight, but strong tubular space frame chassis.
So the engine was a 3.0-liter inline-six, tilted over to fit under the low hood line, making about 215 horsepower, thanks in large part to that fuel injection.
Performance must have been impressive.
Absolutely. Top speed was around 160 mph. 0-60 took maybe 8.8 seconds or so. These were phenomenal numbers for the mid-1950s, blew almost everything else away.
So, fastest car, first with fuel injection, unique construction. Quite the legacy.
Definitely. It's one of the absolute blue-chip collectibles today, often called the Silver Arrow for the road, linking back to Mercedes' dominant racing cars.
And the doors. They weren't just for style, were they?
Not at all. What's fascinating here is how a technical necessity dictated such an iconic design feature. That space frame chassis, being so light and strong, needed deep, high-side sills for rigidity.
Meaning the bottom of the door opening was really high off the ground.
Exactly. So high that conventional front hinge doors just wouldn't have worked properly. You wouldn't have been able to get in or out easily.
So they had to hinge them from the roof.
They had to. The Gullwing design was the engineering solution. Form brilliantly following function, creating something utterly unforgettable in the process.
Amazing how that happens.
Okay.
Okay, one more. Let's talk about elegance, performance, and maybe a dash of espionage.
Ah, the movie star. Has to be the Aston Martin DB5.
The DD5, 1963 to 65, the quintessential British Grand Tourer. Beautiful car, even without the fame, but
But its appearance as James Bond's car in Goldfinger in 1964 just catapulted it into the stratosphere. Instantly became one of the most famous cars in the world.
and it really looked the part, didn't it?
Yeah.
Elegant lines, that classic Aston grille, wire wheels, pure sophistication. Came as a coupe and a very rare convertible, the Volante.
Under the hood, it had a potent 4.0-liter inline-six engine, made around 282 horsepower in standard tune.
Was there a more powerful version?
Yes, you could get the Vantage specification, which bumped the power up a bit more for those who wanted extra performance.
And performance was strong for a GT car of that era.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Top speed was around 145 mile per hour, 60 in about 8 seconds. It was designed for crossing continents quickly and comfortably.
Comfortably being the key word there. It was luxurious inside too, wasn't it?
Very much so. High-quality leather, wool carpets, electric windows, all the refinements you'd expect from a top-tier Grand Tourer at the time. It was about blending speed with luxury.
So the legacy is this mix. A great car in its own right, but amplified massively by Bond.
Absolutely. That combination of inherent elegance, solid performance, and its massive cinematic fame makes it a true legend. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it shows how a role in a film can elevate an already impressive car to global icon status.
It really is amazing the power of pop culture on a car's image. And everyone remembers the gadgets, of course.
The fictional ones, machine guns, the oil slick, revolving plates, and the ejector seat. Pure movie magic, but it certainly added to the DB5's allure.
Okay, so that's 5 incredible but very different European classics. The purebred racer GTO, the beautiful and accessible E-Type, the enduring 911, the engineering marvel 300 SL, and the elegant movie star DB5.
Each one represents something unique, doesn't it? Whether it's racing pedigree, stunning design, sheer longevity, groundbreaking tech, or cultural impact, they all reached a peak in their own way.
So what does this all mean? Why do these cars, decades later, still capture our imagination? Why the immense value and respect?
Well, maybe think about this. Consider how the specific constraints or purposes each of these cars were built for, whether it was dominating races like the GTO, breaking speed records like the 300 SL, fitting that unique space frame chassis, or portraying the absolute height of luxury and espionage like the DB5, or even democratizing style like the E-Type. Those very specific goals, those limitations sometimes.
They drove the innovation.
Exactly. They arguably led directly to the distinct features, the engineering choices, and ultimately the legendary status they hold today. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often do clear objectives, maybe even limitations, drive the most iconic designs and innovations we remember?
That's a fascinating thought to end on, something for all of us to ponder. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into these incredible European classic cars. We hope you enjoyed it.